Oh, welcome. 0 to 60 Brewmastis, Matt McChesney. Matt, you were on a little radio program last night. How'd it go? And how are you?
I'm good. Happy Thursday to everybody out there. Welcome to the show, 0 to 60 here. Last night was good. I got to go on a show that you were actually hosting on KOA and talk to you and Ferg, and it was good. It was good. And then I woke up this morning to Joel Dreesen, of all people, talking shit. Like, it's amazing the world that we live in the Twitter sphere, and the way people operate. But obviously we ruffled some feathers last night in the way that I was talking. So to the point where even King Baba is the one talking shit. So yeah, we must have done something right.
From last night's conversation on the radio, you've already ruffled feathers. Well, it's a good thing to wake up to. You know what else is a good thing to wake up to? Bonus promo codes from Believe. The only people that don't get time off this time of year are pro athletes and us at BetOnline. With NFL, bowl season, and NBA's in full swing over the holidays, BetOnline isn't talking a second to make sure that you have up-to-second odds, news, and info all up on their app. BetOnline has all the sports wagering info available that you need with both the desktop and mobile access at any time. Head on over there today to get on the action, and remember to use our promo code, that's Believe, BLEAV, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. Matt, I'm going to jump right into it before we get to all the other chaos that's going on during early signing period. We want to talk a little bit about the NFL playoff picture. You obviously have the Ravens clinching in the AFC, and in the NFC, the 49ers, Cowboys, and Eagles. No shockers there, but what's the matchup that you would most look forward to if you add a couple over there on the left side?
Well, look, if I'm going to sit here and talk about, potential Super Bowl matchups, the one on Monday night is, very rarely do you get this kind of game in the NFL where you got the number one seeds playing against each other in week, 15 or whatever it is. So I love the matchup on Monday night between Baltimore and San Francisco. I think it's going to be a barn burner. There'll be a lot of points scored, but a lot of good defense at the same time. I wouldn't be surprised if both defenses also get on the board. They're really tough, hard-nosed football teams that run the ball and do a great job moving the pocket and heavy play action with great defense. So, look, very rarely do the number one seeds meet up in the Super Bowl, but this year I think these two are the cream of the crop. I think the AFC is a little bit deeper than the NFC. I think San Francisco has kind of proven that they can mop up the Cowboys and the Eagles. So, if San Francisco gets home field, I think they're going to the Super Bowl. The AFC is going to be a little bit different. Baltimore's going to have a long road, even if they do get home field, which I'm sure they will. I'm eager to see how Kansas City does going on the road. Mahomes being on a road playoff game the first time. He's played 11 playoff games, and he's never been out of Arrowhead, so that'll be a good litmus test for Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes. And then, Miami, are they going to be the 2 or the 3? Are they going to be able to get out of the first round? The Dolphins, if the Dolphins get home field advantage, are they a Super Bowl bound team? I don't see the Dolphins going on the road in January to Baltimore or Kansas City, or like if Cleveland sneaks in there somehow. That's going to be a pretty tough ask for a warm weather team. But that said, if they figure out a way to get some home field advantage in Miami, they're going to have the advantage there too. So, look, the NFL is shaping out to be really competitive. There's so much parity in the league right now. It's kind of crazy. Damn near everybody is still available or still open to fighting for playoff spots. So that's pretty cool. And that's what you want if you're the National Football League from a parity standpoint. How you get to that parity is another conversation for another day. The health of the league, I don't know if that's very good. But from a parity standpoint, they're definitely accomplishing their goal.
And the Broncos have teetered and tottered, and they've fallen out of in the hunt. They were the 7th seed. Now they're the 11th seed. Wanted to bring up here on the bubble. Obviously, they've fallen significantly as they look to kind of make a change here with the last 3 games, all AFC games, and the Patriots are coming up on Christmas Eve. There's a full slate of games. Let me pull them up real quick so we can just discuss a couple of them. But you have Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Saturday's Bengals and Steelers, Bills and Chargers. Sunday, Colts, Falcons, Green Bay, Panthers, Browns, and Texans. And then you've got the full slate there working its way out. What's interesting is there's 3 games on Monday. You got the Raiders and Chiefs, the Giants and Eagles, the Ravens and 49ers. So that one that you pointed to specifically will be the Monday night game as those 2 juggernauts face off. Really excited to watch that matchup. But I don't want to get too involved in where the Broncos currently lie, because we'll be doing a preview with the Let's Talk Broncos crew over on Friday evening at 6 p.m. where we go live with Joey Richards, Zach Seegers, and myself. But I did want to note that there are already eliminated teams, and within that team are the New York Jets. And the reason I'm bringing that up, Matt, is because on the 19th, Aaron Rodgers made his appearance on Pat McAfee, basically to say that it wasn't even negotiable that he would be ready to play. And there was a Ringer article that was released basically stating that, per usual, Aaron Rodgers made it seem like he was going to return and cost the Jets sort of a playoff contention. I don't think that either of us really thought that he would somehow miraculously beat every single odd and get back to the Emerald to save the Jets season. But the circus of it all is still really tiresome to me. I guess I want to point out here the coverage that it's received is kind of worse than any Taylor Swift bullshit that we've seen. The representation was by Aaron Rodgers' design. And I want to say, like, the tongue-in-cheek "I got you" statements are a little bit frustrating. Did you think that Aaron Rodgers was going to get back on the field, or do you think it was all for attention?
I think that he was trying to get back on the field, but I think it was all for attention. I mean, being a Jet alum, and a part of that history, I was pumped when he got signed, and I think he'll be a good player for them next year. We'll see how he does coming off of an Achilles. But I know fans, and people get tired of the runaround with social media and certain people, and so do I. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't. I get tired of the Kelsey thing with Swift and so on and so forth and the attention grabbing. But when you're a hurt player and you're trying to get back on the field, I think it's admirable what he's done. He's shown that he's going to be a team guy and try and not only take a huge pay cut at the beginning of the year and allow them to go sign people, but then after he got hurt, he's been nothing but supportive for Wilson. He's tried to do his best to help that kid. And then he's, shown toughness by going out there and really pushing through his rehab instead of just hanging it up and not being part of the team, which so many guys do when they get hurt like that. He's really shown the young guys, what it means to be a pro. So I think next year he's going to be, if you thought he was motivated this year to prove everyone wrong, there's going to be one pissed off number 8 next year in New York. So I'm eager to see where it goes, but either his Achilles wasn't as hurt as we were led to be, or this was all just a ploy for attention. But at the same time, it's positive attention. It shows a guy rehabbing and doing things right, and I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, that's fine. I think that he took that contract in spite, though. I think that, once he was ready to move on from the Packers, he was fine to take that contract just to spite them. I don't think he was trying to prove that it was anything but money. But listen, we're always going to have.
He redid his contract after they signed him. He signed for like $40 million a year or whatever it was, and then gave them back like almost $39 million last year to go sign people, and he only had a $1 million salary. So that was I don't know if that was a ploy to get attention too, but that's good teammate shit. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Other than the NFL news, I know you wanted to talk about some other things. What's on your mind, Matt?
Well, look, apparently Tyreek Hill and Anthony Edwards need to figure out what a condom is. There's my 2 cents for Thursday. Here's my wisdom on Thursday. Tyreek Hill, having four kids at the same time, 1 with your wife and 3 with baby mamas, that's not good. That's bad. That's trying to be a modern day Antonio Cromartie or Travis Henry. That's not good. That's bad. That's not player shit. That's dumb. All right. I mean, that's some, and then half of them are Instagram model predators. And then the Anthony Edwards thing, the kid from Minnesota who's paying some Instagram, hussy $100,000 to get an abortion, and reading through those messages, how she was talking about she's already gotten one. And you had like, dog, young athletes with money. There are so many predators out there, and you might be one of them. So, predators prey on predators apparently. And I'm dumbfounded by this shit. Like I don't understand how guys find themselves in these problems consistently. I don't understand how guys can't keep their dick in their pants. It's ridiculous to me. It's just it's a huge bad look for the young athletes in the NFL, the young athletes in the NBA, and the guys who look up to these cats. All the guys who think Tyreek Hill is like some good dude, same guy that broke his own kid's arm and abused his wife and now has 8 kids and shit. Like it, come on, man. At some point, just because you can run fast and catch the ball, it doesn't make you a good person. So I'm pretty fired up about this. I think it's ridiculous. I think that the women are just as much to blame as the men. Everybody here is to blame, and it's the culture and the fucked up society we find ourselves in. It's the Instagram model, whore and the athlete who can't keep his dick in his pants. When those two combine, it's going to be just like the precipice of fuckery. So, that I just wanted to get that out there because it's, there's a lot of people making jokes about it, and yeah, it's funny. And there's some people trying to take it seriously, and yes, it's serious. But I'm more worried like the kids in these situations are like used as pawns, and in divorce and separation, and like people that aren't married, the kids being used as pawns is not cool, and it's something that really bothers the fuck out of me. And right now, like, just how much of a scumbag does Anthony Edwards look like, and how bad does she look? And then on the vice versa, why, if you're Tyreek Hill's wife, like, how does she look? How does she even walk into the fucking facility today? Like, that's the most embarrassing shit in the history of embarrassing shit. So, when you use your children as pawns, or when women use them as leverage to get money, or men use them as leverage to have control, that's usually the number one sign that you shouldn't be a fucking parent. That's all I have to say.
I think you noted it, though, that with the age of social media and the idealism of influencers, you get the opportunity to see everyone's private life kind of play out for everyone to witness, because people are posting stories of the bullshit and the drama without repercussion, because they can, right? It's no different than posting your shit on Facebook. And so what we're seeing right now is a lot of private matters playing out for athletes that have existed forever. As being pointed out in the chat, it'll always be that way, i.e. Wilt Chamberlain and Magic Johnson. So there's always been athletes with their own personal drama. And right now you get to see it front and center, where it's not being handled offline. And I think that's the unfortunate circumstance, is that those kids will always have it be known that their public and personal life are everywhere. And I think that the idea is that we have to talk about it. I think the idea is that these athletes are people too, and it's unfortunate what they're going through, and doesn't make it right, but they're paid to be athletes, and then they also have their personal drama. So when you conflate the two, the rules have to change somewhere. With Tyreek Hill, he had to go under investigation with the NFL. I think the idea is that as we talk about it, we have to understand that it is a private matter, and it is something that people are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. It's not their fault that kids look up to them. They weren't hired to be role models. Although I know in the NFL and the NBA, that's a different model. I think that there's like an idea that they have to hold themselves in a higher regard, but that's a lot of expectation, knowing that 50% of the world are not so below average great people, and then there's 50% that are above average. So I just want to put it out there that it's a lot of context, it's a lot of he said, she said, and the truth lies somewhere in the middle. We don't know. We don't know what exactly happened to the T, or the conversations that were had. We get screenshots. We don't know if those have been photoshopped. So I just want to throw out the other side of it, because I appreciate you having your truth and your opinion on the situation. I think it's just something that it's so easy to comment on one way or the other, whether it's scummy or not. I don't know. I don't know these people, although it does look really bad. And it's unfortunate that that is what gets attention and not how this affects children. So, let's see. Jeremy Mayer over on YouTube says, any thoughts on Lauren Landow? Saw he got a college job. Solid move, question mark?
Yeah, I love it. Look, LL is one of the best, if not the best, that I've ever worked with. Taught me a ton. Has taught so many guys around here, been a mentor for so many. Not only did I work with him for 10 years, but he pretty much taught me the X's and O's on how to operate in the business. Notre Dame got a dude, so that's a great pickup for the Irish. He's going to have them right. It sucks for the community around here because you lose a great coach. But at the same time, Landow Performance isn't going anywhere. And we're going to be working together this year, Augie and I and his team over there at Landow with all the 6-0 guys that are combine training and stuff like that. So pretty excited about that moving forward. Only the best for the guys on the front range, and that's what we're doing. So tip of the cap to LL, though. He's that guy. So I love Lauren Landow with all my heart. He deserves that job, and he did not deserve the venom and the persecution that he got when he left Denver. I mean, professional athletes get hurt sometimes. That's how it works. So, people love to blame, and he was not immune to it. But, Notre Dame got a great strength coach.
It is an exciting move. Ivan also has a question here. Is the low number of high school recruits committed to CU at the moment concerning? I understand the quality over quantity thing, but 5 seems really low. Coach Prime loves the portal, but we need to develop high school guys also.
Yeah, that's not the way recruiting works anymore. I mean, there are some schools like Kansas State signed about 20. I like the old school way of thinking where we can go after high school kids, but I mean, Jordan Ochoa doesn't have a home. Jordan Ochoa is a 6'5", 240-pound pass rusher that can get it. Had like 14 sacks this year, was first team All-State, and we can't find him a home. So, like, Lincoln Fahapoli went to Northern Colorado. That's a huge get for the Grizzlies. He'll start as a freshman, but, like, he's a D1 Power 5 offensive and defensive lineman. Kid's a freak. So, I think that the transfer portal is making other people's garbage look really, really appealing. And that's not every kid. Some grad transfers are really good, but a lot of guys in the transfer portal are there for an array of different reasons, whether they're mentally soft or physically can't cut it, or they just don't want to compete, or maybe they just want a new start. Like, there's a lot of negative connotation with it and a lot of positive stuff with it too. So I personally think that the high school recruiting part of this is really hard. Like, unless you're just the baddest motherfucker alive, it's going to be hard to be seen. When you get an opportunity these days, commit to it and keep it, because, man, I'll tell you, it is tough sailing out there for transfer portal guys and for high school recruits these days. Even with help, there's a lot of guys that are just moving on to the next one, and allowing kids to sit in the portal or allowing kids not to sign. Now, there are 2 signing days, and a lot of the high school guys that don't sign now will sign in February when some of the unraveling starts to, go side to side. Players can only play at one place. So they're going to be able to, if player X commits here and signs here, well, then the other 10 schools that offered him, they got to go find somebody else. And that will continue to happen as well.
In the age of wishing that high schools, when we were in school, offered finance classes instead of maybe home economics, etc., do you think that with the changes of the transfer portal and how the NIL deals versus scholarship money, like, there's a lack of education in general? Not everybody has a Matt McChesney to be able to go to discuss the pitfalls and the triumphs of switching teams in the middle of a full ride scholarship. Where do these young players go for information when there's not a whole lot of standards or precedents set with the current state of transferability?
Oh man, where do they go? I don't know. And look, I was on Coach JB's show this morning talking about just this. Like, there's with Trent Richardson, there's no agents, there's no money managers, there's no financial advisors, there's no like football consigliaries. Like, they may have Uncle Bob that helps them out, but I don't know how many players actually have help. And I mean, this is what I do for a living, and I've even got guys that I can't help right now that are sitting, that are watching. So, that this entire situation is because of a lack of education. Like, the NCAA has made it the Wild West where you just get in where you fit in. There's no rights for the players. And I'm really worried about this moving forward because it allows 18, 19, 20-year-old kids to make everything based on their emotion. And even when you have somebody that's sitting there going, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to go down this road? There's no turning back once you do. It may not go the way you want to go, blah, blah, blah. That situation turns out to be a real clusterfuck for a lot of these kids. And it sucks to see it, but at the same time, it's the rigors of it. Like if you haven't really weighed both options, prepare for the worst, but expect the best. If you haven't prepared for the worst, then you probably shouldn't be in the transfer portal because the opportunities there are fleeting. And what someone says to you is far from like a handshake deal or signing a scholarship paper. So, the whole committed thing, I really hope that they get rid of that in the transfer portal. Like these guys, like just say you're signed, like free agent signing or something. All this, I committed 5 times in college bullshit is kind of wearing me out. And then also like the verbal commitment stuff, I think that the NCAA or college football or whatever, like verbal commitments might want to just be like taken silently right now. Like if I'm a coach, like if you're going to commit to us, that's great. We're not going to talk about our commits until signing day, and then we're going to sign. Like because it's become this like run around and the Jordan Seaton thing. I know everybody wants to talk about that, and we will. Like it's becoming almost like a reality TV show, and I think it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting.
It's a little embarrassing too, because when you have to talk about it and you have to rationalize these decisions, and also the amount of, I hate the buzzword, but the clout chasing and the ability to leverage different institutions and the egos that are being born and brought out of this. It's a good thing for certain circumstances, but what we're seeing right now is creating a whole ton of chaos where everybody can leverage each other, and the distrust that is being bred out of that system is not healthy for moving forward. You mentioned agents. That's also a concern because as you know, as a former professional athlete, is that agents also are taking a cut. So relying solely on just somebody to manage your funds is not enough. You have to be self-educated to the idea of what's the best thing moving forward. Do you take a big bag straight off the bat, or do you think about the potential money-making endeavors like somebody like Coach Prime would be able to offer? Nobody thinks that far ahead. Everybody's looking straight ahead. They're very tunnel vision. They want to chase a big contract or NIL deal, and then they're not thinking about the long-term implications, not only for themselves, but for their future. And I think it's just interesting to see how this will play out. It's a lot of drama and it's a lot of chaos going on right now. Before we move on, because we have about, 8 minutes left, we're going to take some questions. We're going to get into Buffs talk, but I want everyone who's watching right now, because if you don't and we don't hit the likes right away, we're not moving on. So go ahead and like the stream, subscribe to the channel right this very second, leave a comment, ask a question, start dropping them right now. I'm going to try to get to as many as we possibly can. I know people are clamoring to hear your thoughts on Jordan Seaton, obviously visiting Maryland. There's rumors of him signing in Oregon. Listen, if you don't want to be at Colorado, I get what you're doing. We can see it a mile away. The frustrating fact here is that they're kids. They're playing the game. They've found a way to work around the system, and now everyone has to be at the mercy of the bullshit. And I'm not a fan of games. I know you're not either. So let's hear it, Matt. What are your thoughts on Jordan Seaton in Colorado?
All right, look, I am going to try and temper this as much as possible because the fans can't handle truth. So anything I say that ruffles some fuckboy's feathers this morning is going to be spewed back at me. But about a month ago, I remember saying, let's see how this all plays out. I'm really excited about it. Obviously, he's committed 3 weeks, whatever it was. And, it's a grown-ass man's game, and let's see how he handles it. When I say grown man's game, I don't mean just physically. I mean mentally. This is some child bullshit. This is some, look at me. I'm not going to sign with everybody else. And do I want him to sign with Colorado? Yeah, but he's not going to. He's going to go to Maryland or Oregon. They obviously gave him more money. I think that he, if he goes to CU, great. But this is a massive red flag for me. He'll be in the transfer portal in 15 minutes if something happens, or he doesn't like the way he gets paid, or if he has to compete for a job, or whatever the case may be, he'll jump in the transfer portal quick. Look, everybody got really mad at me when I was just trying to give them facts on what was actually happening in the recruiting department, trying to get toughness on the offensive line and not being dead last running the football. But this, I feel bad for Coach Prime right now. This 18-year-old kid went on national TV with Skip Bayless and put the hat on and talked about, if you're a dog, come to Colorado. You want to play for a guy who looks like you, has a gold jacket, who can get you there, blah, blah, blah. That was all posturing and talk. And you want us to take you seriously? The Seaton drama has gotten to the point now where I don't know if, look, he's a great talent, but you're not the only offensive lineman in the history of offensive line play. Like, I've had a coach tell me this a long time ago. You're not as good as you think you are, but you're damn sure not as bad as you think you are either. And I feel that if Jordan Seaton can look at this as what he said, walk in there, play immediately, early enroll, help build this with the other 4 or 5 guys they brought in. We want dogs. We're looking for tough dudes, blah, blah, blah. Well, that was all just talk, and this is like, even the people in the chat who can't handle me talking negatively about him. What is he, your boyfriend? Do you like, are you holding his fucking hand and going on a windy walk? No, the minute he signs with someone else, you will turn on him too because you're a fucking fan. All I'm trying to tell you, look, there's 4 guys in there right now. Brett Coolj, Reese Russell, Big Tank from CU, the left tackle. They're in there busting their balls right now, working out. We've been talking about this all morning. Brett plays right next to Jordan at IMG. Nobody can figure out what the kid's trying to do. Everybody's dumbfounded. Like, if this is really just a big look at me thing, well, that's one thing. If he's now being courted by 3 schools and it just needs to be worked out financially, that's something else. But like Shador's tweet this morning saying that if you're not with us, you're against us, essentially, that is very telling to me. That is broadly saying something to someone, trying to get a message out there without tagging them. I'm not really a huge fan of that. Usually when you talk junk to me, I'd like it if you tagged me, Joel Dreesen. But in reality land here, this is what it is, guys. This is what college football is. Jordan Seaton looks like he used Coach Prime in Colorado to leverage his opportunity to get more money. And for him to, like, if he ends up at Oregon, that's just a bad look all the way around. Like, you go from wanting to play for Coach Prime, a guy who looks like you, and the gold jacket and all the other crap that this kid spewed, just to turn and go to Lanning. And I love Dan, but that's a complete 180 right there. So the courtesy at the bottom is Jordan Seaton coachable. This is a really good question. I'm glad you brought this up. Is he coachable? I think that he's going to be a real pain in the ass to coach, probably. He'll be, judging by what I've heard from other guys that play with him and have been around him, he kind of does what he wants. And, he's the number 1 player at his position. He can do what he wants, apparently. So I don't know if that is necessarily the best thing for high school kids, for young guys who are trying to figure it out. Grown man's game is more than just the physical part. I know he's a freak and he can play. I get it. Early enroll, go cut your teeth and be a player now. At some point, you've got to put down the I'm the number 1 player in the country at my position thing and just go be another college football player and try to go to the league. It seems to me he likes being recruited, and I don't like being recruited is the worst part of all this. You want to go play. You want to go develop. You want to go ball. This kid likes when everybody's patting him on the back and telling him how good he is, and he is. He's outstanding. No one's sitting here saying he's not. But this is a massive red flag. Do I still hope he signs with Colorado? Yes. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the transfer portal wherever he signs within a year and a half, especially if he has to go there and compete. Because I know everybody's going to tell him that he's going to walk in and start immediately. I believe it in Boulder. I don't know Maryland's depth the way I do CU's. Oregon's depth is not a problem. They got dudes everywhere. So they're going to have to fight for a job regardless of where you go. Boulder at least is going to slot you as the starter. And then after that, we'll see what we get. But it's amazing to me how fast everybody in the chat and all the buff country and everybody else has flipped on this. A week ago, if you said anything negative about this, you were a bad fan and a bad buff. And now everybody's attacking Jordan Seaton and we don't need the drama and yada, 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 yada. Man, the majority of y'all should never get married. Y'all are fickle. Your emotions run your life. And this is just, and he's one of them too. Jordan Seaton is a guy who lets his emotions run him. And if anybody in his corner is telling him this is the way to do it, at some point money is going. We've had this conversation. Like Albert Haynesworth. No one looks at Albert Haynesworth and goes, "Oh, he's worth $250 million. What a great player." No, Albert Haynesworth walks in somewhere and they go, this guy's only about money. That's all he cares about, and we don't respect him. I'm glad you're paid, but we don't respect that. And football fans, real ones and real football players, can see through this kind of shit. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's a bad look for the kid. I feel sorry for him. I feel bad for Coach Prime. They don't deserve to get drugged through the mud like this by him. I hope he signs with CU, but at the same time, why would you put Colorado through this and then sign with them at the same time? He'll probably end up going to Maryland or Oregon, which that sucks. But at the same time, if you don't want to be here, like Shedeur said, kick rocks, homie, and we'll find somebody that wants to play, and that's who we'll ride with. So we'll see.
ASAP 360 Co said, highlight the ones we got signed. Focus on the positive ones too. What's the biggest move?
We did. From the Tucker kid to Houston to the 3 defensive linemen from the SEC, the kid that we signed from Pittsburgh, the pass rusher, I can't pronounce his name or remember it. The corner from Liberty, that kid is a monster. So, I like the skill players they brought in. Seaton would have been the crown jewel of the class, but at the same time, I was talking about this with my guys this morning, and I'm going to get back to them here in a second. When I was being recruited back in 2000, I know old head, the recruiting class that I was a part of had Marcus Houston and Craig Oaks in it. Craig was a top 5 quarterback in the country from Fairview, and Marcus Houston was the number 1 running back in the country from Thomas Jefferson. And those 2 guys didn't make it 18 months, like 2 years. Both of them couldn't handle competing. Both of them needed the red carpet laid out for them, and we don't do red in Boulder. Like both of them were so soft mentally that they couldn't handle the rigors of competition. Within 15 minutes, Marcus Houston was 4th string. He went out and had one of the best games I've ever seen anybody have at USC as a freshman. By the time we got into sophomore year, Cortland Johnson, Marcus, or Bobby Purifine, Chris Brown were all ahead of him. And he was complaining to EB about not being able to spat his shoes, and that's why he wanted to transfer. And Craig Oaks, got hurt. And Pesavento stepped in and took his job. And when Barnett wouldn't give Oaks his job back and just give it to him, Oaks called everybody to his house and had a meeting about how he was going to quit and go to Montana. And it's just not the right spot for him, blah, blah, blah. Everybody else congratulated him and said, good riddance. We love you, Craig. And I walked up to him and said, this is some bitch ass shit. You're supposed to be our leader. You're supposed to be our guy, and you're quitting on us because you have to compete. So, it's something I hold against him to the day. Like, I saw him in a wedding 8 years ago. I didn't talk to him. Like, I don't have any respect for that kind of shit. I understand that this era is different. You can transfer whenever you want, grad transferring, so on and so forth. What I'm saying is sometimes the guy with all the stars next to his name, sometimes the guy who gets all the back pats, sometimes that's not really the guy. And I'm not saying that Jordan Seaton isn't him. And I'm not saying that these other players that they signed aren't him. They might be Travis Hunter because he's him. They might be Shedeur. He's him. But they also might be mental cripples that can't figure it out and can't figure out how to put the team and the opportunity in front of them, especially as an offensive lineman. I mean, bro, you're already in a position where there is no shine. Like, is that the reason why you need the spotlight on you? So I'm just, man, this situation sucks, dude. If both sides are right, both sides are wrong. If you're defending Seaton, you're right and you're wrong. If you're defending Colorado and Prime, you're right and you're wrong. This is what the NCAA wants. It's a big fucking reality show, and everybody's got to pick a big bite of the shit sandwich right now. And it sure seems like Colorado just got played like a fiddle by Jordan Seaton on national TV, no less. If I'm Skip Bayless, I'm pissed off. Like, this is a bad look for the young man, in my personal opinion. And what the fuck do I know? But I think it's a bad look.
Eddie over on YouTube said, love the new show. Thanks, Eddie. I was wondering if you think the O-line is greatly improved over last season.
Again, we'll see. I'm not saying it's not. I like Coach Lodeholt. It's his first job. Coach O'Boyle had been coaching for 30 years. I'm not going to say they're better. I'm interested to see what kind of scheme they bring out. I'm interested to see what kind of scheme Patty is going to run as the OC. How much leverage and how much leniency they give Coach Loadholt to put in the run game. He's coming from Coach Beatonbaugh's system at Oklahoma, which is outstanding. All they do is just print offensive linemen. So I'd like to think that it's going to be beneficial and productive moving forward. I like the players they brought in. We'll see. I mean, it's winter conditioning, figuring out who really wants to be here and who's going to lead and who's going to work hard. And then spring ball is going to be a damn war to figure out who's going to play and what positions are going to be filled by whom. And nobody's talking about Tyler Brown. My man TB is not going to go calmly into the night. He didn't get to play last year. He's going to be in that mix. That kid can play just about anywhere, and he's a nasty son of a bitch. He can really get it. So you're not talking about him. Savion Washington's coming back. He's a really good player that played through injury last year. Before he got hurt, was at a very high level with Coach Prime talking about him being an NFL player. So a lot of it is scheme. A lot of it is fit. We'll see what they do there. But, yes, I'm encouraged about the offensive lineman they have bringing in. I love the offensive line coach. Phil and I talk damn near every day. He's already on a bunch of kids in the future, including Breck and Reese and Nick and Moon and Schmidt, the big tackle up at Windsor that just got CSU the other day. So we are actively trying to fill that room with as many badasses as humanly possible. So the trench is a strong point in Boulder instead of a weak one. I love how Buffalo fans can turn on me when I'm the one trying to help. And I'll continue to help because I don't do this job to get fans on my side. I could really give a Tiffany fuck. But at the same time, I find it amazing. This is the only place I ever read comments. And it's funny how some people think. That's all I'm saying. So tomorrow we have Brian Howell on. And Brian's been writing for CU forever. He does a great job covering the bus. We were going to have him on today, but I want to figure out what's going on with Seaton. So we'll have him on tomorrow at 10 a.m. To talk about, the Buffs, and Bree and I will grill him a little bit on, some of the harder questions. So definitely tune in tomorrow and see what Brian Howell has to say about the signing day, the players, the coaches, the scheme, and moving into the next phase of this when everybody gets home off of break, moving into winter conditioning and spring ball and all that kind of stuff. So there's going to be another portal window open too later in the year, moving into spring ball, where they'll have more opportunity to fortify the team. So we'll see, man. It's a really tricky situation.
It is a tricky situation. Ben Sandoval says he wants Matt to admit Deftones adrenaline is better than White Pony.
Listen, Sando, just because Ben and I were at the first Deftones show that I can remember being at when we were 15, 16 in high school. That's a proud Not White Cougar right there. Adrenaline, the album is different than White Pony, but it's not better. I mean, let's be real. White Pony is an unbelievable album, but I mean, let's be real. Around the Fur is better than both of them. So, and then Crosses. Sando, do you know who Crosses is? Because if you're a real Deftones fan, you know who Crosses is. I didn't know who they were until Bree introduced me to them, and they are bad as fuck too. They come here in February, so you should definitely come to that Crosses show with us, Sando. But Ben Sandoval is a badass linebacker for Iowa. We played together back in the day. And, Ben can tell you, I have been this way my whole life. I don't this isn't a show for me. This is just me hitting fucking the button and talking, right, Bree? Do I prepare for this shit or do we just talk?
You want me to be honest? No, you don't fucking prepare, Matt. Of course you don't. I'm over here fucking making everything. Yeah, no.
And I don't need to. I got a photographic memory when it comes to this kind of shit. So, look, I'm very excited about tomorrow's show. I'm going to get back to my offensive lineman right now. They just got done with their lift, and we're going to finish our day. That it isn't the end of the world, Buff fans. All right, a lot of positive things can come from the adversity. All right, everything that we're going through right now, the last 20 years, it's going to set us up for greatness. Trust me. But I'll tell you this: getting played by an 18-year-old sure does suck, doesn't it? It's just not fun, is it?
All right, we're out of here. We'll see you tomorrow.
Later.